Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Rocket Diary with me, Sam Cottle, in which this time I'm going to be talking all about the competition that I'm facing in what I'm planning to do with launching myself into space. I'm planning on attempting to imitate the space flight of Yuri Gagarin. I'm trying to launch myself into space maybe for an hour or two and then descend back down through the atmosphere in a capsule and land the capsule, I guess, in the sea or something like that, and have a parachute on the capsule and all this sort of thing. But there is one other team out of Copenhagen who are attempting to do something similar to what I'm attempting to do, which is they're trying to launch somebody above the Kármán line, above this sort of arbitrarily defined limit or this arbitrarily defined line that defines where outer space begins, which is 100 kilometers up. And, just because it's a round number that's easy to remember, I guess. So they say that outer space begins at 100 kilometers up, which, I mean, in fairness, if you're launching somebody that high into the atmosphere or frankly out of the atmosphere, that, yeah, you do get to call yourself an astronaut then. You do get to call yourself the first solo amateur space pilot then. And, yeah, so they're the competition, and I'm incredibly impressed by what they've managed to do already. I'm incredibly impressed with they got. I think they've actually launched a rocket to the Kármán line already. I'm not so certain about that. Don't quote me on it, but yeah, I think they launched an unmanned rocket up to that sort of altitude, and yeah, it seems like they're going to get there first, frankly. So I probably won't end up being the first solo amateur space pilot. But yeah, I still want to do this. I still think this is a worthy thing to pursue. It's something I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to personally go into space, and I've always wanted some excuse to get up into space. And yeah, I feel like I just want to do it for some reason. I'll try to do another first at a later date. But I think in the first instance, the next step for Rocket Space, the company, is to launch at least somebody into space. And I think that somebody might as well be me, the founder and CEO of the company. And I'll take that risk personally and have myself launched into space to demonstrate that we're capable of launching people into space and returning them to Earth safely, and that'd be the basics of demonstration there. And hopefully after that start getting contracts with space agencies and so on to try and develop rockets, and I want to eventually develop very, very large rockets indeed out of advanced materials, and try to launch huge machines into space. And this will be going concurrently, of course, with my other enterprise, Astrojet Systems, which is a space-based fusion organization, in which we will be attempting to launch nuclear fusion reactors into space to utilize the near perfect vacuum conditions of space and the low temperatures and the large amount of space in space to harness nuclear fusion reactions and then deliver that energy back to Earth using microwaves, and to also try and develop warp speed propulsion. So yeah, I'm very awed by what this Copenhagen team are attempting. It's highly ambitious. It's very, very brave going up in a capsule like that. I'm not certain I would do it. But then again, I want to imitate the space flight of Yuri Gagarin. So I've been thinking about it hard, and actually I probably would do it. That is sort of what I'm like. I would get in a spacesuit, and I would get into that capsule. That's the problem with me. Like, I don't naturally put myself in the path of danger very often. I don't go seeking. I'm not a daredevil per se. I don't go out seeking this stuff very often. But when it comes to something like this is absolutely worth doing it for, because I think it's worth dying for. I think it's worth dying to push the cause of human progress and exploration forward, even just a little bit. Yeah, I think it's worth your life. We give our lives in the world for far worse reasons than space travel, and if I can, make that little step forward, no pun intended, yeah, I think that's a great thing, isn't it? And I would give my life to do this, and I might end up dying doing this. I have also thought about that, and I can have the most competent team in the world, but even NASA have killed people, and they have the best engineers and scientists in the world, of course, working for NASA, and they've still killed people. So I don't know. This is so worth doing, in my opinion. That, for one thing, I think there's a lot of mystique surrounding rocketry and rocket science that's probably not justified. And I think that there's a lot of fear surrounding it also, or this this like undue attitude of veneration towards it. I think you need to sort of dissect what it is pragmatically and look at each individual component of risk involved within it, and then just adjust your practices according to the risks, and adjust your equipment according to the risks that would be entailed in a space flight such as what I'm proposing. And I really think that's all you've got to do. And another thing is, like, this stuff used to be hugely expensive, like inordinately expensive under NASA, and nowadays it's not as expensive at all under SpaceX. SpaceX has brought the price of rocketry down dramatically, and rocket launches are now far cheaper, and they're becoming cheaper all the time with the advent of things like 3D printing. And you get some rocket engines 3D printed, it might not even cost all that much money. That's what I'm hoping anyway. I think it might just be possible to build and launch a Soyuz-sized rocket to imitate Gagarin spaceflight for about £150,000. Or maybe that's an optimistic estimate. I don't know, is the answer. I think the upper limit is something like £10 million for the budget. The lower limit would be £150,000. I really want to see how cheaply we can get someone into space for. I think it's possible to launch an ICBM-sized payload carrying the small satellite, which is Project Laval Stream 1, into space briefly, like Sputnik, for about £50,000. That's my inclination to say that. So I think that this is absolutely the perfect time to be doing this sort of thing. And yeah, I really want to get going on it now, but yeah, it's just, I need to work a bit longer so I can build up a cachet of money for personal survival budget, personal survival fund, and all this sort of thing before I go borrowing money, I think. And need to ensure that my business partners are down with this still, and also work on Astrojet systems and this fusion projects and so on, or these fusion projects and so on, to try and get those things funded, and to try and hopefully get equity investment for Rocket Space Limited off the back of successes with, say, getting things patented with Astrojet systems, and co-join the companies into a kind of corporation, if you like, and a corporate entity, and get more people involved with it. Because I think a lot of people would have to work for free. Because I suspect a lot of where the money goes, actually, I know a lot of the money goes when it comes to rocket launches and things like that, is engineers' salaries. That's really where it goes. Because all the NASA engineers and so on, those earn inordinate sums of money. They earn really big pay packets, and there's loads of them. There's loads of them working on things like Saturn V rockets back in the day, and space shuttles, and SLSs now, which I think is still a pretty crap, unnecessary rocket. And that Starship is better than that, definitely. I think. Or Starship will be better than that, better rocket. And hopefully NASA use Starship and not Artemis, and give Boeing the old heave-ho, so to speak. They fuck off Boeing. God, SpaceX now. But I love this idea so much. All I want to do is, I think about this all the time. I think of going to space all the bloody time. I just want to see the Earth from up there, float around, be in a spacesuit, and come back down again. That seems like it'd be a hell of a lot of fun. The roar of the engines going up, all that sort of thing. Yes, brilliant. The sound of rocket engines is rapidly becoming my favourite sound. I think one of my favourite sounds or noises was always the sound of jet engines, like planes taking off. The that noise. That's a great noise. And yeah, I want to do all this stuff. It's just what's holding me up? Money. Money is holding me back. I haven't yet found the investment for it. The plan is to get a business partner, borrow money with them. I have to take out a 25 grand loan. I'll take out the other 25 grand. And together I think we can launch, an ICBM basically into space. An ICBM made of plastic. That's what I intend to launch, I think. And all the bottom part of it with the engines don't want to be coated in canvas or in metal plastic. That's my plan. Lightweight carbon ceramics or what have you. But yeah, a largely plastic rocket. Get something into space, which I think is very possible. I think I could certainly get something into space. Or it might not work. I have to go for aluminium instead. I do know that actually a lot of space agencies out there, including I think the Chinese, are working on installing a lot of plastic components into their rockets to save on weight and making their rockets lighter and faster and capable of carrying larger payloads and things. But I think I'm at risk of rambling. I think that's enough of an update for the time being. I will report back when I have more news and I have a better idea of what I'm doing. I think I'm going to work solidly for the next 6 months or so until the new year, earn up a sort of buffer amount of money, and then take out this business loan. And that's sort of the plan for it. And by the way, don't expect me to get launched into space for anything like the next 5 years, obviously. It's not going to happen overnight. Don't worry about that. Check back when I'm 35 or something, and then we'll sort of see about launching myself into space. But we'll hopefully within a year of taking out the business loan, have the ICBM-sized rocket ready to launch, and hopefully after that secure investment, and using that as a kind of the proof of concept. But then launching myself into space, or that'd be the general idea of it anyway. And yeah, hopefully this will work, and hopefully I'll be a 35-year-old astronaut in 5 years' time. Yeah. So thank you everyone for watching. Bye bye. I love you lots. I'll see you soon.